has been a minute, it's been a minute, it has been a minute. Hey! I am here today to talk to you about songwriting and a little bit about song production. You know that I love to show you the behind the scenes of any creative project that I am doing. And for a while now, you have been asking how I write songs and how Jaime and I produce them. So that is what this video is all about. I'll be digging in deep to the last song that I released, which is called We Feel It Too. And I think this one's quite interesting because it was recorded entirely from home because it was made during the big corona, yeah! And nobody could leave their houses for quite a while, and some still can't. So I think it will be hopefully informative because this shows that anyone can create a song from the comfort or confines, if you will, of your bedroom. I know you find it hard when you're apart from all you love, you smile less. So during this video, I will take you through my process of how I create a song from nothing and then how to turn that song into something magical with production. And I also want to show you how I made the music video for that song, but that's gonna have to be in another video because I started to write this script and it got way too long, so we're just gonna focus on music today. All of the different sections of this video will be put into the timeline, so feel free to check it out and skip to whichever parts interest you most. So let's talk about creating a song entirely from scratch. And my number one tip is to know your limitations. We all have parts of our creative process that we don't feel as confident in. And mine is my musical ability with instruments. I know I am not the best guitarist in the world, so when I am writing a new song, I do try and push myself, but I also keep my own limits in mind so that I can play a song confidently. And this is fine, we can't be good at everything, and knowing your limitations, I think, really does help with creativity because you can play around within your realms of possibility and your own skill set instead of trying to reach for something beyond that and then just getting frustrated that you can't reach it. A good way to know your limitations is to learn other people's songs, to play covers of those songs. This will teach you new chords, new strumming patterns, and you can kind of get a feel for what comes naturally and what you need to work more on. I personally find it difficult to stay motivated when I'm following like a guitar tutorial or a lesson because I need an end goal to work towards. So if I'm learning a song that I really want to play and then let's say I can't get a chord right or a strumming pattern, this gives me so much more motivation to nail that chord because I know I really want to play the song. And this goes nicely into melody. So playing other people's songs gives you a nice idea of what chords work well together, what strumming patterns are nice, and then you can kind of take inspiration from this and put it into your own songs. Make them unique, of course, but there's nothing wrong with taking a pinch of inspiration from here and there. And eventually, once you get into the swing of playing and learning new songs, you'll start to instinctually understand what chords work well together. Is instinctually a word? Not sure. A lot of the time I will play a chord and I'll instinctively know which chord I want to play after that, even if I'm not quite sure exactly what chord it is. I just know what it sounds like. It's all about experimenting, learning, and trusting your instincts. When writing a song, I often have the intent to play it live someday, and because of this, I usually go for more slow strumming patterns or plucking patterns, just so that I know that I will be able to play it confidently if I were up on a stage. stage. So once I find a nice progression of chords and a strumming or plucking sequence, I will then just kind of hum along to it really. Most of the time at this point, I'm not actually focusing on what I want to say. I'm more humming and just finding a pitch and a rhythm that is fun to sing and also catchy and goes along with the melody really nicely. So let's now talk about the lyrics. I do sing all the time, so with a lot of this stuff, it really is just kind of what you enjoy. And I think if you enjoy singing and playing music and you're coming up with lyrics, whatever you think your thing is, you'll probably do it in your day-to-day without even realizing. And I sing songs about everything, and they're not, most of the time, not very good, but it's fun to do. So let me tell you my 3 main ways that I come up with the lyrics from my songs. Okay, so number 1, and this is probably the one that you're expecting, I already have a idea of the topic that I'd like to sing about when I sit down to write a song, but I'm not sure exactly what those lyrics are yet. This is usually when I'm feeling kind of low or conflicted and I'm writing a song to understand these feelings more within myself. Writing songs can be very therapeutic. Number 2 is actually when I'm working out the melody, and when I'm humming and trying to find that nice pitch and rhythm, I might just come off with a random line that I really like the sound of, and I might find a nice rhyme that goes along with that, and it's more about just kind of going with the flow that way. And 3, and this is a really good way, especially when you're kind of feeling in a bit of a creative rut and you feel like you can't do this anymore, which honestly I have been feeling recently, is I look back at old poems that I've written over the many years. Ever since I could honestly remember, I've been writing down poems, rhymes, even just ideas. They don't necessarily have to be a full-fledged poem or rhyme yet. Whenever I've gotten them, like if I'm eating breakfast, in the shower, at bedtime, that always happens when you're trying to go to sleep and something pops in your head and you go, wow, that's a really cool idea, I need to write it down. It might never lead to anything, but it's never going to lead to anything if you never write it down, because you'll never remember it again. So I keep all of my poems, my ideas, my thoughts, whatever, in Google Keep. But you can do it in your phone, you can do it in a physical journal, whatever works for you. I just say write things down whenever you get some good ideas, and you never know when you might want to look through them and you get inspired by yourself, your past self. So this song in particular was written kind of in style number 1. It was when the pandemic had just started. My first experience working from home, not seeing loved ones, being locked up in my bedroom. Great times. And I needed to have a release. I needed to write it down somewhere and just figure out what I was feeling, really. So I came up with the plucking pattern first and the chords, because also I was trying to learn plucking on the guitar when I wrote this song. And then came out the first line. I know you find it hard when you're apart. Anyway, coming off the back of lyrics would be your song structure. So a well-established song structure, as we probably already know, is verse, chorus, bridge, and maybe a last chorus. I try not to overcomplicate the structures of my songs too much, because I mean, it works for a reason, but I do try and kind of play around with verses, chorus, intro, outro. Maybe you can make things slightly different there. I think that's how you can have a bit more fun with it. Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, maybe just start your song with a chorus instead of a verse. Ooh, that's kind of how you could mix it up if you wanted to. I would say, however, that it is always fun for both you and the listener to add maybe a bridge or just something to mix up the end of your song around the 3rd verse. That's what I try and do, especially when I'm not so gifted on the guitar, so usually it does sound very samey. So I'll try and maybe sing a different way, or just add a few extra chords, or make the strumming pattern slightly different in the 3rd verse, just to give it something that's a little bit of a oof. And it's always nice to know that the end is coming and there's there's a little bit of change there. But overall, if you get a good feel for the first verse and then the first chorus, I really feel like it kind of just flows from there, and you've just got to trust your instincts. Just keep going over what you have, keep practicing it, and even if you have to step away from your instruments, keep singing the song and keep humming it to yourself. You never know when a spark of inspiration is going to hit. I remember I was writing a song called Deserve More for a long time, and I had no idea what to do with the third verse for maybe a year, and then all of a sudden it just hit me in the shower, obviously in the shower, but these things happen. Everything you wanted, does it match up to what you saw? Everything you need. So acoustic recording. Once I am happy with a song, I will record it acoustically. I think there's something really beautiful about a raw piece of music that's recorded as if you were there listening to it live in person. And I know that if I record it like this, then I can always revisit it in the future to polish it up. To record these acoustic recordings, I usually just use a Yeti Nano and my MacBook, which is definitely on its way out. But I do this because I can record it anywhere. I can record it on my bed. I can even take it to the woods if I want to. My MacBook is extremely portable, and the Yeti Nano is a teeny tiny mic, so it still sounds great, but I'm not confined to sitting by my PC. I record using GarageBand, but I like GarageBand for a little acoustic recording, and it's so easy just to shove a little bit of reverb on there to make it sound a bit better. And that's it, that's done. I did actually upload an acoustic version of We Feel It Too about a year and a half before I uploaded the polished version, so that's a really good example of kind of how I do it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about song production. I mean, all I can say here is find a brilliant producer. The end. No, don't worry, there's definitely more things that I can say. But finding a brilliant producer is extremely, extremely helpful. Of course, you can always learn music production yourself if you can find the time for that, which would be great. But you don't have to do everything, and you don't have to be good at everything, like I said at the beginning of this video. So if you have the opportunity to collaborate with someone else that you feel understands your vision, could work well with you, and you like what they do, go for it. What have you got to lose? Sometimes the best ideas actually come from a collaboration. I've had the pleasure of working with Jaime at HoriZen Productions for many years now, and he has really helped me to elevate my music to a whole new standard. So big thank you to Jaime.
Thank you very much.
So usually I visit his studio and we will record there with all of his fancy equipment. But of course, I was not allowed outside, like all of us. So I recorded this entirely from home and sent him the raw versions for him to produce at his studio. So this was quite a learning curve. Let's talk a bit about song narrative. When bringing a song to production, I am not the producer. I do not know all of the cool, fancy producer stuff. But what I do know is narrative, and I know why I wrote my song and what I want my song to convey. I am narratively led in a lot of the things that I create, and I really do see my songs as stories, especially when they're going through the production process. Before we start any work, I'll write a big document which includes the song narrative, the theme direction, the lyrics, and any reference songs, so that the producer and I are on the same level and we can kind of share the same vision for the song moving forward. Sometimes we even do make a collaborative Spotify playlist, so we can kind of put songs in there that we think are relevant to what we're working on, but usually that's more for larger projects like EPs. Future EP. This song's theme was isolation. So I really wanted to keep it quite stripped back to give the audience the feeling that they were listening to something very intimate. I imagined it as though the listener would be right there with me in my bedroom. Ambience. So the producer, Jaime, and I thought that adding some ambience would be a really nice way of adding like a human layer to the song, which fits very nicely with the narrative. When in lockdown, the simple joy of kind of being around people and nature while everything was living their day-to-day lives was something that I actually very much missed. Even as an introvert, I really craved life beyond my own four walls after a while. So when it was more safe, I went out and bought a Zoom H1N portable microphone, and I took it to my local park. I also bought a windshield, which is very important if you are recording in England. It's very windy here. But I ended up recording distant sounds of children playing, people talking, dogs, birds rustling in amongst the tree leaves. It was very nice. Any talking was mostly intelligible as I didn't want to invade anybody's privacy. However, there is this really cute exchange between a mum and her son about plums, and I thought it was so cute. So I ended the song with that, but fingers crossed they don't mind.
What do you like?
Plum.
A plum? We don't have any plums at the moment.
So I wanted this ambience to be a part of the song to remind us that the world is still out there and waiting for us, no matter how hard it gets. The ambience was used throughout the whole song, with it being more prominent at the beginning and the end of the song to kind of tie it together in a nice little bow. However, we did also make it very prominent in the third verse as I say the lines, "Open the window." It kind of comes in louder as if you have just opened a window. Whoa! I think it's really small details like that that kind of help build towards the narrative and the theme that I was talking about earlier. Okay, so after the ambience was recording my guitar. So I recorded my guitar on my PC with my Blue Yeti microphone and the software Reaper. I did attempt to play with a metronome that was at 92 beats per minute, BPM, but I still find playing to a metronome pretty difficult, so it took me a good few tries to get it right. The best way that I found to do this was to focus on trying to get at least 3 decent takes of each part of the song, so I kind of broke up the song, so I did the verses individually, the choruses individually. This alleviated the pressure on myself because I wasn't trying to play the whole song through perfectly. My concentration kept breaking, my timing kept going strange if I had tried to play the whole entire song through. So at the end of the day, it worked better for me, for Jaime, for the song as a whole, for me to play it bit by bit. By recording multiple takes of each section, Jaime could then use them and hopefully there would be at least one good one in the bunch, which there were, so that's good. We did have some audio issues where, because I am not in his lovely soundproof studio, you could hear some background noise, unfortunately. I did try to soundproof my room as best that I could. I do have some soundproof panels on my wall. I tried to get a sheet next to the microphone, but ultimately it's not going to be as good as the studio. Trying to make a little cocoon with my green screen. Most notably, the background noise was actually from the metronome coming from my headphones. So I had to turn that right down, which made playing to a metronome even harder. But we did it in the end, and Jaime did amazing job of removing that background noise. So thank you, Jaime. Here's a little insight into Jaime's workflow when cleaning up the guitar.
The first thing I'm using on everything is noise reduction. Because it's recorded in her room, there was computer noise, ambient noise, hiss from the preamps. Over many tracks playing together, this noise will add up. So just doing a bit of reduction on each track can just lower that noise a little bit. I'll just play a before and after on the guitar. Probably quite a subtle thing on the guitar. Next, I'm doing a little bit of dynamic EQ. There was a bit of a node here that was jumping up and down. And as you see, it's around here. It's just kind of tucking it away as it comes in. Then an EQ. This is an EQ I use a lot. Shep 73, it's a 1073 emulation. And this I'm just using to make the track sound a little bit better.
Okay, so vocals. This is the fun part. So once the ambience and the guitar was all put together, it was time for me to record my vocals. I did this again on my PC using my Blue Yeti microphone and the software Reaper. My microphone's on an arm, so I could make it stand up, so I could stand up and sing into it, which is great. Very much like the guitar parts, I did sing each part individually, verses individually, choruses individually, and the end as well, because I always feel like the end is something you really want to get right. And then I sent Jaime multiple takes so we could kind of mix and match to see what we liked best. I can be really picky when it comes to my own voice, so there were a good few weeks where I was re-singing parts. However, at the end of the day, I just had to know when to stop. You can keep working on something forever and it's never going to be perfect. So for me, what really helps with this is to give myself soft deadlines. And if I know that I'm coming upon one, I then need to reflect and ask myself, you know, is this project actually bad? Do I need to spend more time on it, or am I just being picky? Once the main vocals were in, we could then add the harmonies, and this is always a really collaborative process between me and Jaime. We'll both come up with ideas for harmonies and see which ones work best. And listen to the sound. When we've chosen which harmonies we want to do, I will then record multiple takes of these harmonies. And instead of Jaime using only one of these takes, he'll actually use them all and he'll layer them together. So you get this really nice kind of airy, dreamlike quality to the harmonies, which we both really, really like. You know what? I might as well just let Jaime show you.
First EQ.
Listen to the sound.
EQ and saturation.
Listen to the sound. Listen to the sound.
Then that's going through this compressor again. This is only doing a little bit of compression, nothing major. And then the reverb, called Phoenix Verb.
Listen to the sound. And then mixing the song in Cubase. So Jaime, the producer at HoriZen Productions, mixed this whole song in Cubase and also used bus processing to fine-tune the final mix. I am no expert in this field, however he did make an extensive video detailing the behind-the-scenes process of the production for this song. So I will put that video in the description down below. Check it out if you want to know more about music production. And after that, it was just making the music video. It was just making the music video. That will be a whole new video that I will record separately because a lot went into that. But I really do want to show you because I think that creating a music video, especially in a game engine like how I do it, it opens up so many possibilities and it allows you to create the whole thing from home, which especially nowadays is really, really useful. If you want to know more about that, then stay tuned. Click the bell, subscribe, do all of that stuff. Give this video a like, yeah. Also, I just want to say, please, before we go, have fun. At the end of the day, music is an artistic expression, and there's no point to any of it if you don't feel like you're getting something out of it personally. It's not what I do full time, but I really do find it a fulfilling part of my life, and I honestly can't imagine my life without it because I use it to express my emotions and even understand myself a little bit better. Anyway, I hope this insight into my songwriting, song creating process has been a little bit informative or at least entertaining for you to watch. I'm happy to be back, and I'm really looking forward to showing you the behind the scenes of the music video as well, because that was a really fun one to make, and I'm very proud of it. I think it looks awesome, and I think Jaime did an amazing job as usual, and I am really freaking excited to, I said freaking, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm really freaking excited to go back to the studio and keep working on my music and make this second EP. It's gonna be so good. Thanks to everyone who does listen to the music that Jaime and I make, the raw little acoustic songs that I put up on YouTube. I really do appreciate it. I honestly never thought when I was younger writing songs that I would ever have any type of audience. So it really is a dream come true. I'm humbled. Thank you. If you want to see more of me, make sure that you catch me on Thursdays over on Twitch, where I'll be streaming weekly. I am not going to be streaming on YouTube weekly anymore, but do go over to Twitch, give me a follow there, or subscribe if you're feeling generous. I have done a complete revamp of my Twitch, my YouTube, my Patreon. I'm trying to take everything a little bit more seriously this year, so wish me luck. We'll see how we go. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into it this year with you. I feel like I've taken a really long break. Okay, I'm gonna stop blabbing now. Have a lovely day or evening. I'll see you in the next video, and bye. I know you find it hard when you're apart from all your love, you smile less. And I know you feel alone inside. Your home is no longer a place of rest. And I know you try your best to do what's